Hi, this is a help video for problems 9 through 13 on the Unit 2 review. Number 9 says that you have the vertex at negative 4, 2, and there's another point on your parabola at negative 12, 18. We know that there has to be a line of symmetry for the parabola that goes through the vertex. So that means that the same thing happens on the left side of the red line as does on the right side. So this point being over here at negative 12, 18, I know that there has to be another guy that's exactly on the other side of this line of symmetry, the same distance away. So the question I really need to figure out is how far is it from negative 4 over here to negative 12, because I'm going to the left, and so that's going to be looking at my x coordinates. And I can figure out that those are 8 units apart. So I need to go 8 units the other direction to find this point, okay? And my picture is very much not to scale, so please understand that. But this distance needs to be 8, and this distance needs to be 8. So if I go 8 units this way, again, that's a horizontal type distance. I'm looking at my horizontal component on my point here. That's at negative 4. I go 8 units to the right of that, and I am at positive 4. The other coordinate has to be the same as this one because it is exactly at the same level, so to speak. So if I went up 18 from the origin to get to this point, I have to go up 18 from the origin to get over here to this point. So the symmetric point is 4, 18. For number 10, I can see from the factored form that I have here that my intercepts are going to be at 3, 0 and negative 9, 0. So that's how I would write this as an answer to identify the x-intercepts. I would write out what the ordered pairs were. But you can see I've drawn a little picture here for myself as well. And they want me to find the coordinates of the vertex. I know that my parabola opens upside down, so I'm going to draw my picture like this. That isn't actually important to finding the answer, but I thought it might help you to understand what was happening. And then because these points are at the same level, right, I know that there's a symmetric line exactly in between them. This is the same thing that we were using on the previous question, right, where we knew that the parabola had to have a line of symmetry, and these 2 points were at the same level, so they had to be on either side of that symmetric line. This is exactly the same thing. So I need to figure out basically where is halfway between negative 9 and 3. I could count on a graph. I could also average those two numbers. So negative 9 plus 3 is negative 6, divided in half, that is at negative 3. And so this dotted line is at x equals negative 3. Again, my picture is very much not to scale, so don't let that bother you too much. Feel free to draw on graph paper if that makes it easier for you to get a sense of what's going on. Number 11 was making sure that you knew the idea of what an x-intercept is. My drawing here wasn't very good, so let me fix that up a bit. But an x-intercept is just where a graph touches the horizontal axis. So this first picture has one x-intercept. The second picture doesn't have any because our parabola's ends are pointing up, and it's going to keep going up forever. It's never going to come back around and touch this horizontal axis. So there's no x-intercepts. And part C, there are 2 x-intercepts. I highlighted them in purple. And number 12, you know where the directrix is for this one, and you know where the focus is. Now, if you think about the anatomy of a parabola, you have a curve. Inside the curve, there's a focus. Outside the curve, there's a line that's called the directrix. And the distance from the focus to the vertex, so this blue line, has to have the same length as this little green line. And that length is what we called P in class, okay? It shows up in the equation of parabolas depending on what form they're in. So in this problem, I know the focus, I know the directrix. They didn't tell me where the vertex is, but I know that that vertex has to be halfway in between. So I need to look here and say, well, this is at a height of 5. This is at a height of 1. So the distance between that is 4. 5 minus 1 is 4. So halfway between means I'm going 2 units along this little green line, or 2 units along this little blue line to find this vertex. Okay, and if I go down 2 or up 2 from either of these things, I end up at the location -2, 3. I would be going over 2, just like I would be to get to that red point that was the focus. And I'm not just going up 1 to the directrix, I'm going up 2 more to here, and if I went up 2 more after that, I'd be there. Okay, so there is my vertex, and the question was to write the equation of the parabola. I think I'm ready to do that. So I'm going to use the 1 over 4p. I come back and fill in my p-value in just a second. And then the vertex wasn't at the origin, so I'm going to have to think about that as well. I know my vertex of the parent function would have been at 0, 0. And I'm sliding 2 to the right. Excuse me, 2 to the left. Sorry about that. I meant 2 to the left. And have that. And then I need to go up to my vertex, which is at -2, 3. This point up here, the red one was the focus. This is my vertex. So I'm going to go up 3. And then because that little green line segment is 2 units long and the little blue line segment is 2 units long, I know that my p-value is 2. So my final answer would be 1/8 times the quantity x plus 2 squared plus 3 on the outside. And my parabola would be right in here. Okay, something like that. For number 13, this is in conic section form, and so I can pick up that 1 over 16 as being a 1 over 4 p-value. I can cross multiply and get that the p-value is 4. This parabola, by virtue of the fact that 1 over 16 is positive, is going to be a smiley face parabola. And so that means, if I draw myself a little picture here, that I'm at the origin for my vertex. There's no sliding around on this. And then my p-value for it tells me I go 4 units this way to the focus, and I go 4 units this way to the directrix. So my focus must be 0, 4. My directrix must be the line y equals -4. And my line of symmetry is this line right here that I'm indicating, which is x equals 0.